Welcome back to another beautiful day in the land of music. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about working with live sets and live set sounds on the Yamaha YC series. So let's just start off right here in the center of the Yamaha YC. I've got the YC88, but it should be the same for the other two versions. Underneath our main screen here, we've got the encoder on the left, and underneath we have all these buttons. Now you'll notice that a good number of these have a black background and the words say live set here. So we can kind of, right there assume that all of these buttons somewhat are associated or related to your live sets. Now, just to quickly level set, and if you're curious on a more in-depth description of the difference between voices and live sets, check out this video. I'll link it here as well as in the description below, where I go in-depth on voices versus live sets. But for the purposes of this video, live sets are stored sounds that are based on voices and effects and tweaks and stuff like that. So everything that we do here, we can save to these live set sounds. And there are 20 live set pages on the Yamaha YC, and each page has 8 live set sounds. Now the 8 live set sounds you'll see here correspond to these 8 buttons, and then we can move through the pages with this page up and down or plus minus buttons right above our live set sound buttons. So for example, we can see here 4-5 means we're on live set page 4 and we're on live set sound 5. You can see there's little LEDs on these 8 live set sound buttons that show which one is selected, which is really nice if the stage is dark or something like that. We can see which one we have selected. So we can come in here and let's just grab a C7. And remember, live set sounds are more than just a voice. They're a voice with some effects on there sometimes, and there's a whole bunch that are delivered from the factory with the Yamaha YC. If you haven't updated to OS version 1.30, that comes with some additional voices and some additional live set pages and sounds. So go check that out and get that onto your Yamaha YC because there's some great sounds that are a part of that. You'll notice that this is still the same C7 Grand, but it's got some compression and chorus on there. If we move back to our live set sound 2, now, one cool thing about the live set sounds is we have seamless sound switching between these different live set sounds. So like seamless transition sort of thing. So we switch sounds. My effects aren't cutting when I switch to that next sound. So we've got this ability to switch between our sounds really quickly. And what I'll do is if I'm going into a show or maybe I'm at church and I have some staple sounds that I'll use, I'll set up a live set page with my most commonly used sounds so I can switch between them during the show or during church and easily switch between those sounds right from the front panel of the Yamaha YC. So let's talk about a couple other things related to the live sets. Up here on the screen, again, we talked about this number here, 5-4 means live set page 5 and live set sound 4. It shows us the name of that sound. If you're curious on how to rename sounds, I've got a video on my channel for that. It shows us the name of the live set sound, and then it shows us what that live set sound is made up of for voices. So as we move through these, you'll notice that this changes. So right here, live set 5-6 has an upright bass voice on layer A. If we switch to layer B, we've got a C7 Grand, and if we play that, and it's a split. So we've got all of these live set sounds, and we can see what they're made of as we move through them. Now we have a few more buttons here just to the right of our live set sound buttons, but still within the black background. Store, split point, transpose, and settings. Store allows us to save the changes we make to this live set sound and store them to either this same live set sound or a different one. I'll show you that here in a minute. Split point, so we've got this split, and we can tap on split point and we can see that our split point is set to G2. And actually, if I exit out, I can show you that. And if we go to split point, we can set that by tapping on a key here, and it actually changes our split point. So maybe we want it down here on C2, we exit, it changes our split point. So very easy. We'll bring that back to G2, exit, and transpose. Let's talk about that for a minute. So transposes this live set sound. So maybe we want to move that up. We can go plus 12 semitones or minus 12. So let's go. Exit that. And we can store that. So again, transpose, split point, those all get stored when we store our live set sound. So let's talk about store for a minute. Tap on store, and that's going to take our settings. So maybe we changed the split point, maybe we changed the transpose, we modified effects. We can go and store that, and it defaults the storage location to that live set sound we were on, 5-6. But we could scroll with our encoder and change the live set sound we want to save this to. So this is great if you want to, you play a sound, you start making some tweaks, and then man, I want to save that to a new live set sound. You can scroll to an empty one, press down, and that stores that to your location. So I actually don't want to overwrite this base stays home live set sound because this is one of the factory ones. We're going to move that back to transpose 0. Down here, probably the biggest menu here is our settings menu. So this is the settings for our live set sound. It's a bunch of things in here. I won't go into too much depth on some of them, but let's just first scroll through here and talk about some of these. So sound gives us the ability to change some of the settings for the different sounds. We don't have any organs on this one, but we can change a bunch of settings on our organ if we had one. Things like leak level and key clicks and all of that. If we go to key A settings, that's our key layer A, bunch of settings down here. Come back, key B, we have the same thing. Rotary speaker, you can go in and change all sorts of settings on your rotary speaker. Function, again, it's kind of like our quick buttons there, but you have them in the menu as well. And then tempo delay time, it's in the quarter delay time there. So you can change all of those things and you can save them. We'll come back one. We have our external keyboard settings that we can save for this particular live set sound. Come in here, we've got the external, internal. You could maybe, let's say we wanted key B to only be controlled by external only. So none of the playing we did on the Yamaha YC would affect the sound or the voice on layer B, but our external keyboard would, things like that. Come back here, master keyboard. We have some settings in here, controllers as well. What do our foot pedals and our foot controllers do? Drawbar colors, if we were using organs, we could define our colors for the organ. Name, again, I covered that in another video, but you can rename the name of your live set sound, all from the settings menu. And then when you store that, again, if you change anything and you want to save it, for when you turn the Yamaha YC off and back on again, you have to store that, because if I make a change to this sound, let's come in and do transpose. And I exit this, I move away and I come back. It changed back to the way it was previously saved. Same thing will happen if you change some things, forget to store it, turn your YC off and back on, it's going to revert back to that stored instance of the sound. So those are kind of our functions around the live set. There's a couple other cool things that I'll mention. If you're working with live sets, you can go into the menu, which isn't black background, but it's for good reason. So we go to the menu and we come down to job. And this job menu lets us do some things within the live set manager, which are pretty cool. So we can swap live set sounds around. So let's say we want to take live set 5-6 and we want to swap it with 5-7. We can do that here. We can change, and it's going to, the top one is going to be the sound you were on when you pressed on menu, or the live set sound. So we were on 5-6. We tapped on menu. It's going to say, oh, you want to swap 5-6 with what? So we could come in here and swap that with 6-2. What that's going to do is it's going to take 6-2, move it to 5-6, 5-6, move it to 6-2. I'm going to exit because I don't want to swap. The other thing we could do is copy. So we could copy a live set sound over to another live set sound slot. Now this may be, if you want to make a copy of it and then start to make some changes. You can make copies in a couple of different ways. I already talked about if you are making changes and you save it, when you tap on store, it asks you what location. So you can make a copy of it that way, as well as when you're renaming, you can choose where to save that newly named live set sound. So few ways to copy, but they also give you that function. And then initialize would actually initialize that live set sound back to, I believe it's just a CFX Grand. And so I don't want to do that, but you could kind of wipe the sound and kind of start from scratch there. So that's a really cool menu. And then I won't get into it on this video, but you can back up your live set sound, you can back up your live set pages, and then you can back up the entire keyboard. Stay tuned, I'll be coming out with a video on working with a thumb drive and doing the file utilities and all of that. So I hope this was helpful learning a bit about how live sets work on the Yamaha YC. If you've got any questions, throw those down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. But again, there's a lot to this keyboard and a lot you can do. And it's really, nicely laid out in the controls and how everything works together. So hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired and keep making that music.